finally can grasp WH questions. But now what do you work on in speech? Because they're still unable to answer questions related to a text that they're using in the classroom or in the speech room. Hi, I am Hallie Sherman from Speech Time Fun, your speech language pathologist that is here to help you plan with ease and confidence when it comes to your older speech students. And I know it can be a struggle to know how to work on relevant goals for your speech students, yet that is also teaching them in a different way than is being worked on in the classroom. So let's take a step back and think, okay, why would we work on inferential questions with our speech students? Well, they are expected to answer inferential questions according to the Common Core, grades 4 through 12. And younger than that, they are expected to do basic inferential thinking, and they're learning how to read between the lines and think about things that are not explicitly stated in the text, although it might not be written out in the curriculum. If you think of Bloom's taxonomy, higher level thinking is the top of the pyramid. So they're expected to do it. But in order to infer, our students need to have adequate memory, vocabulary, sentence structure, the ability to answer questions, and memory, and so much more. So it is our domains to help them with higher level thinking. So once they can grasp literal questions, and there is also evidence that shows that our students with speech and language difficulties will clearly struggle with literal and inferential questions, so we can help. So now once they can grasp literal questions, and they're starting to get some inferential questions and being able to answer it, we need to be able to teach them to differentiate between the two. And we can show them, hey, this is how you can be successful when you get a question about a text or something you're learning about. Like, is the answer right there in the text, or do you have to read between the lines and think a little bit more? So one of my go-to strategies, I'm all about strategies to teach our students differently and to help them be successful, is using a visual. This free visual is available. I put the link with this video at speechtimefun.com/visuals. You can get this visual along with many others that I keep right on a binder ring next to my speech table that I can easily just take off the wall and utilize for any goal possible that I have with my students. And it helps them visually see what is the difference between a literal question and an inferential question. So if I see, like, who is the main character? That's right there in the text. Where did the main character go? That's right there in the text. When did the main character get surprised? Right there in the text. But if I see question stems with the word what if, probably, assume, maybe, might have, those words are not so definitive, and those answers are not going to be right there in the text. We need to take what we know, we got to take what we see and make an inference and think a little bit more deeper about what's not explicitly stated in the text. So we got to teach our students what to look for in the questions and some of those key terms that we can even utilize in our answers, how to answer it. So I think, and I know this because, and we can give them that framework and a way to just look back. And this way, it's taking that cognitive overwhelm out. They don't need to remember all these things. They just need to say, oh, I need to look at that chart and it's going to help me. I've got a question. What am I doing? And I like to use the words right there and think a little bit. Okay, so I like to introduce it to my students, like say, hey, has that ever happened to you? Has your teacher asked you a question and you weren't sure if it was like right there in the text or not, to make it relevant? And they're like, oh yeah, that's totally happened, right? And then what I like to use is I like to use Jamboard. I've said this before on my lives. I'm all about using Jamboard to make things visual, sorting, and easy to use. And I prep it once and I'm done. And I like to show them observation and inference, right? The literal, it's right there. I can observe it, I can see it, or do I have to think a little bit? So you can come up with some sample statements and they can sort it. Is that something I can see? Or is that something I had to read between the lines and make a guess about? So once they grasp that, they're like, oh, some things are right there and some things I have to see. Then you can practice even further and do an EdPuzzle. I love using EdPuzzles. So you can stop after various points and ask a question. Was that something right there in the video, or did you have to think about it? And have that visual handy and ready to go so they can refer back to it. And these are just different ways that you can get tons and tons of practice and exposure to these concepts. Okay, so you can easily find this one. Some people have, or you can quickly make your own on EdPuzzle. Enter in the different questions, and you can for any of the videos. This one's Snack Attack. I love it. It's one of my go-tos because it's really fun and entertaining for our older speech students. And then, of course, after you practice with pictures and then you go to a video, then you can take any text, like something on News ELA, Wanderopolis, ReadWorks.org, Tween Tribune. There are so many places to get age-appropriate texts. And I personally don't like to use the questions that come with the text. So let's just say we're doing the one about zebras. Why not, right? We have this article about zebras. I'm going to clearly change the Lexile because my students are not reading at 160. They're reading closer to 600, which is probably more like third, fourth grade level. Now, if you'll see here, there's activities and a quiz. I don't like the questions that go with it. I find it is way too wordy and way too above their heads. So I like to make my own questions, and I will use this framework, basic WH question stems and higher level thinking stems, to come up with my questions. And we might sort, and we'll sort it. I might use French fry containers. I might use brown paper bags, anything to make it hands-on and fun. You can just write it on a piece of paper, an index card, and have them sort it. And first have them just sort. They don't even have to answer it right away. Take that overwhelm of, oh, I'm not even having to answer it. I'm just recognizing if it's a literal or an inferential question. I could do that, right? So again, just to review, we're going to use a visual to help them understand the difference between literal and inferential questions. We're going to start with pictures, like something on Jamboard, teaching them how to see things that you see versus reading between the lines, like these are the answers. And then you can turn these answers into questions even. And then you can practice with a video like EdPuzzle. And then lastly, you can use a text like something on News ELA to practice sorting and identifying the different types of text questions before you even work on answering the question. And this will teach our students, okay, one, what is expected of me? And then how can I be successful? Again, making it visual, making it hands-on, and tons of opportunities to practice will show our students that they can be successful, and this will help them in the classroom. So I hope you found this helpful. I am live every week here, and my replays are always on my YouTube channel. So they are always there if you need more reference during the school year and you want to refer back to these videos and tips and strategies. Make sure you grab my free visual aids, speechtimefun.com/visuals, and the link is in the caption. And next week, I will be going live talking all about working on main idea in speech. I'll see you next week. Take care. Bye-bye.